declaring live stream meeting.
Right. This meeting's being live streamed. Got it.
Got it.
Okay, we are live.
I took my glasses off, so
Bobby, make sure
you look.
I got you. We're live. All right, guys. Good morning or good evening. This is Bobby Peters. I am your host. We've got Scott, we've got Justin, and we got Robert, along with Mark, and Ryan. How's everybody doing tonight?
all is well, right?
Good.
Well,
All right. So we are going to start tonight with. Actually, hold on a second. All right, Scott, you're gonna refix this because I'm gonna do this the right way. Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Bobby Peters. I'm here with my co-host Robert, Scott, and Justin. This is episode number 1. Our guest today is Mark Nelson, Mark Mullen from Spartan Waste, Ryan Delaney from Fox Sports Spartanburg. How's everybody doing tonight?
doing great. Yeah, glad to be
Doing
here.
good.
Yeah,
Doing good, Bobby.
Excited that we're your inaugural guest. It doesn't get much better than this.
Woo! Love the energy.
We're glad you're
love
our
it.
first guest.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, actually, the only ones that said yes. So,
That's okay. That's all right.
Hey, that's okay.
So I have a question for y'all if you want to answer it right away. Some of you guys have been with Jeremy for a long time. What made you guys choose Jeremy as the sponsor with your businesses?
Yeah, well, I'll take the first swing at that one. For us, as well as the guys sitting here with me, of course, all being race fans first, and then, secondly, it's a Spartanburg team, which we're all in Spartanburg. So we, the best bang for the buck for us, is supporting the local team, one, and being in the Xfinity Series gives us good exposure too, and just knowing, the racing history and family background, there really wasn't anywhere else to go that would have made any more sense. So once we had the opportunity to get involved and the ability to, it really, there was really not any question. It was just a matter of how much racing we wanted to do, because we were going to be involved. And these guys got involved with Jeremy's team, a number of years ago now, and I think their reasoning would be similar, although maybe a little bit different. But basically, we want, Spartanburg has a rich racing heritage, so trying to support that and keep it going, albeit not as robust as it once was, I think it was important to all of us to kind of support that. And, it's a really good marketing element here in town as far as exposure for our businesses. And we like to go to races, so it's kind of an expensive ticket, but we do get pretty good tickets. So
I would second that and mainly say that our involvement has grown over the last couple of years after we've got to know the team and Jeremy's dad, and just such a welcoming feel and dedication by all of them. It just, every time you're with Tony Clements, you want to be with Tony Clements more. He's just a great individual. And my wife has had the privilege of going to several races, and he's just a down-to-earth people as well as everyone else is on the team. And it's just it's a great feeling and something we're proud to be a part of.
I may chime in just quickly. Ryan was being incredibly humble there because Ryan has a distinguished pedigree of being, closely attached to Bud Moore and his family, and Bud being one of the inaugural 10 members into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and Ryan's still incredibly close with extended members of Bud's family. And Ryan called in one day and said, hey, I've been involved with Jeremy's team for a while now and in kind of a different role. Would you guys be interested in coming on board sponsoring? He said, I know Spartan Waste is all about local. And I said to Ryan, I don't exactly know what you're asking of us, but yeah, this like a good idea. I am a former dues-paying member of the Dale Jarrett fan club. You know, still have my initial box that was sent to me. And as a side note, when I called in to join and they answered the phone, DAJ Racing, I was like, wait a second, is this Dale's shop? And they said, yeah. I was like, you see Dale every day? And she's like, I'm looking at him right now. $15. What a bargain. You should have seen what they sent me. But you know, Ryan, however, is the reason that we're here. Ryan tells funny stories at different tracks about being in high school, going with the sleeping bag in the back of his car by himself to be at the track, right? I figure that he's legitimate credentials. Mark and I are complete posers who have a lot of time, who have a good time. We're our hard cards, wave them around, right, Mark? You know, and but we're happy to be supportive of Jeremy and his team.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and thank you for that.
All right. So my question for you guys is, what are your upcoming plans for the 24 Xfinity racing season, if you can share? We've seen that Jeremy announced at Vegas that he filled all of his spots for 24.
Take over, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I think us as a group, as of right now, which sometimes can be a moving target, is we're going to split 3 cars. Charlotte, Pocono,
Martinsville.
and Martinsville. We're going to keep that in Martinsville, the Halloween race. And then, of course, do associates throughout the year, because the primary spots as of right now are full. There still is room on the associate side. And then sometimes things can change throughout the season where sponsorships may move and shift a little bit depending on what happens with the rest of the sponsorship group. So that's our plan, is to have a heavy presence in those 3 races, and then, do associates throughout the year, which we normally do, and hopefully attend not only those races, but others. And then I will say that the primary sponsorship group that we're all close with, I think that's what makes Jeremy's team pretty special and then different than your bigger corporate teams, is that we've got a really good group that will cover that schedule. And the hopes are to kind of get some of those other associate spots taken. So our plan, and you guys can chime in as well, is to do those 3, potentially others if need be. But right now it looks like, the calendar is pretty full as far as sponsorship dollars go.
One of the things that Ryan is really good at, he was fortunate enough to sit next to a nice gentleman on the way back from Phoenix last year, and he met Tate Lida.
Yeah.
And he has come on and did the Chicago race, was his inaugural race this past year, and just has fit right in with our what we consider a tight knit group. And he's willing with his time to come down, and we do events here in Spartanburg, and he attends, and we always share text and pictures of our children. I mean, it's just really is a race family that we're all fortunate to be a part of. But, the credit goes back to Ryan for just always talking about it, looking for opportunities to expand the reach of the Jeremy Clements 51 team.
And I think the only thing that I will add, it's perhaps been the most surprising thing, in a beneficial way, is the relationship that we all have with that sponsorship family. My focus group is only one. This is my first foray into having anything to do with NASCAR. But I can tell you it's incredibly special. And the fact that you have all these guys from various organizations who've been successful professionally within their own right, who are all pulling on the same end of the rope to see Jeremy succeed and compete in an industry that favors the big guys with unlimited pockets. And to credit Jeremy, the success that he's had over all these years is really a testament not only to his internal organization, but to that group of sponsorship.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that one.
Yeah, I agree too. So you guys have the bumper or the hood behind you guys. Tell us about the Halloween paint schemes that you guys have done, and which race was your favorite and which one was the worst?
I don't know if we have necessarily a bad one, right? The only thing that I'll chime in first on this, when Ryan brought us on board, and it was the Martinsville Fall Race 2021. was the first thing that we did in our local design group, Arrowhead Design Group here in Spartanburg. They created the scheme of the car. And that was a credit to Jeremy and a credit to Michael Maselli, who normally designs Jeremy's cars, that we could truly have a local car. And then Michael Maselli, who designs all of Jeremy's schemes, you know, in my eyes is almost unmatched within the industry. And, you know, he called this year and said, Mark, what do you want me to do? And I was like, Michael, when do we ever give you kind of much feedback on what to do? Just, I mean, you have creative liberty. And he came up with, that was great. You can see the hood above us. And, you know, we alternate positions, you know, on races. Sometimes Fox Sports on the hood, sometimes we are. But I will stand up and show you right quick. We've got the rear quarter panel with the Martinsville kits, you know, on the back that, you know, we haven't officially decided how we're going to display all this stuff. But, you know, I mean, we're darn glad to have it. And I like it that it's, you know, banged up like that. And I really like it because it also has Racing Warehouse on it. And those guys were awesome.
One of the nice things that just kind of you know, reiterates what Mark says about the design of the cars is Jeremy went in the off season to
Simpson.
I don't remember where
The trade show.
And one of the mannequins there had on one of the Spartan Waste Halloween
And
designs.
Fox Sports Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Well, yes, yeah. And but it was, you know, a nationally displayed thing, and he didn't even know it was going to be featured. So, you know, somebody found it very eye-catching and enough to put it on their model for everyone to see. So we were all very proud of that and surprised to see it a little bit.
And you too can have your own for $1,400 a piece.
That's
You know, so if you want one on your Christmas tree, just let us know. There's a little lead time.
Surprise your wife with that one.
But I will say that we as a group talking about, you know, which, you know, it's kind of like, you know, picking your favorite child as far as what your favorite race is, but
right?
yeah, but she's probably not watching it. But I think we all like that Martinsville Halloween race has kind of become one that we always look forward to. But then outside of that, you know, the Darlington race, which is, you know, we all consider our home track that we really like. So we kind of gravitated towards Martinsville is our signature race, I think.
Yeah.
As far as Halloween. And then as far as tracks that we don't like, I mean, I guess this past year, I mean, I guess
All of them?
yeah. Well, I was gonna say if it's results driven, you know, I would probably have to say, you know, Watkins Glen, unfortunately. But you know, the good thing about it is we always go and have a good time, and we want their team to do well. Really, just for those guys. So any race that we're able to go to and support them is important because, you know, when you can see those guys succeed, and we obviously support them, but, you know, to see those guys have success is what, you know, drives me is whatever we can do to make them successful. We just want them to continue to be able to compete and ultimately win. So every race we can give them a chance is a good race.
And I think as a tie-in on that, and I feel badly, especially since Julie's here, that we haven't said anything yes is, you know, this year we did 6 races and, you know, had some destination races on purpose so that we could take our families, you know, and have that time. And I think for all 3 of us that have kids roughly the same age, you know, our kids get the benefit of being at the track and seeing how the 51 team operates. You know, they get to see behind the scenes stuff and how well that team works together. And they understand financially what it takes to run this team. And those are life lessons that it's just through experience. You know, you can't just learn that in a book. I mean, to be there at the track and understand that aspect is a big takeaway. And again, it's another thing that I feel good about. We write the sponsorship check.
And just a small piece of that. We were able to have our children there, and you know, mine are college age, but they'll invite a friend, and then when we're at the back of the hauler, just, you know, kind of gawking over the access that they have and everything. Well, somebody hands them the engine cooler and say, all right, take this to stall 32. I mean, you're like, oh shit, we gotta work. You know, so everybody jumps in and helps, and it's just a small team, and they don't have a flock of people to jump in there and do that. So everybody very proudly carries equipment to the pit box, helps take it down, push it back. And it's just part of our internal pride. We just all, take pride in doing it, and glad to help out when we can. And that's what a small team needs in a lot of cases.
And shockingly enough, we have about 20 boys that have volunteered to come work at Talladega this year. The Talladega Boulevard, we've got 2 RVs that we're going to be camping out in the driver owner's lot. You guys are all welcome. It's a great time.
Oh, that Talladega Boulevard is.
Yes, you're right.
It is something.
So I'm so glad that you guys mentioned 2021 at Martinsville Halloween race. I hope can you guys hear me okay? I'm just doing a mic check here. Good. All right. So that was my first opportunity of meeting all of you guys, right? And man, top 10 finish. We burned that. I still tell stories about the 2 kids from Spartan Waste. I don't know if you guys remember or not. We lost 2 of them off the back of the golf cart, and we just kept going. So I still tell that story. I'm like, I wonder if those 2 kids from Spartan Waste are still alive. Because man, one of them, I'm not kidding you guys. One dude fell off and just smoked his head. And his bosses didn't care. So I'm like, let's party, let's go. We got places to be. So that was my first experience meeting you guys as well. And again, back to like you said, the team aspect, not only as the race team, but the sponsorship group as well. What a cool group of people. And sorry we missed you this October, but yeah, that race goes down in a good memory for me as well. That was our first opportunity to see you guys.
This year it's going to be after Halloween, and so we've already kind of been brainstorming a little bit, maybe turn it into a little
you can take credit. It's your idea. I like it.
A little Thanksgiving theme maybe this year.
We met a turkey. It's November 2nd next year. So after Halloween is the race, and Mark had the idea, and I was like, shoot, Maselli, he can run with it. We'll have outstanding crew shirts next year with the turkey on it.
You need to dress Jeremy up like a pilgrim.
Can we still do that this day and age?
Give him a musket and one of those paint his helmet like a little pilgrim hat. I don't know.
He just can't wear sunglasses
like that.
Yeah. We've got to send you a video of when we had him jump out of a trash can.
That's true.
Yeah, it was really good.
I've seen it.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, same here.
Listen, to Jeremy's credit, tagging on to that, just imagine how oblivious Mark and I are, having never had anything to do with this, and we're growing our business. And, we asked, hey, Jeremy, we've got this idea, maybe it's Halloween, you can jump out of a trash can in the driver's suit. Maybe we could film this video of you driving the truck. And he spent 3 hours with us, and Courtney, Jeremy's wife, I can remember saying, Courtney, this is so great. Would all drivers do this? And Courtney's like, no one would do this. she's like, Jeremy does this for everybody. It wasn't just us, right? But I'm so incredibly thankful. And then thank you, Bobby, for the warning not to curse. But somebody out there had commented on the post, does Jeremy have a CDL? Because he was driving the garbage truck on a city street. And I thought, well, I believe Jeremy understands how to drive.
I have an idea for you guys. If you guys do the throwback race at Darlington,
yep,
I think you need to throw it back to a very old movie, Stroker Ace. I think Jeremy would do it. I'm thinking do the pluck chicken car.
Oh my God.
Stroker Race.
Yeah. We'll put that in the hat and see what we pull out.
Bobby, that'd be a good color scheme for you to race right there.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Hey guys,
I need a chicken suit.
Guys, I got a follow-up question for you. So when Michael Michelli and you guys come up with a design for a car, NASCAR obviously has to approve it. So how much input is there between you guys as sponsors, Jeremy with the team, and NASCAR? How does that all work together?
I would say when that came into play, mainly the first time, where we had multiple issues going back and forth, was when we did do the throwback car with the Wrangler thing that Ryan kind of spearheaded. There was one design that did not get approved.
That wasn't Yeah, it wasn't as much of a NASCAR issue. We really, that I can remember, we haven't had a car rejected as far as NASCAR approval. Some of it was other sponsors and other people always kind of wanting to change what the car looked like from their position. The only one that I remember being rejected by NASCAR was when Chuck and the guys at All South Electric did the Dale Jarrett throwback, that which was the UPS.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
NASCAR didn't like the way the UPS, the UPS shield was too much like the actual trademark UPS shield, so they had to redesign the shield. But I don't recall a car scheme just being rejected by NASCAR in recent history other than that one. Usually it's just sponsors that might want to tweak the design a little bit or change it a little bit. But NASCAR certainly will if you kind of get outside the lines a little bit. But I don't recall having any issues other than that All South Electric Dale Jarrett car. And they just did a redesign on the shield and they approved it.
Maybe there was something with the monochromatic numbers.
Well, yeah, they made them pull the numbers at that Martinsville race because they allowed chrome numbers, but the first set of chrome numbers they ran in Martinsville, they would kind of change colors in the lights. So they'll let you run those chrome numbers, but it has to be a solid chrome number. Just so there's a contrast between the rest of the car and the number itself. They always want to make sure there's a contrast. And so Jeremy's guys, and I think it was that Martinsville race you were talking about, Justin, where they ran it, practice qualifying, whatever else, and then before they race it, hey, you got to change those numbers. So Jeremy called around and got some guys to get some solid chrome, and they literally just pulled those off and chromed them over in a solid chrome number, and then they were fine. But they made them change them at the the ninth hour, where they didn't bring any extra chrome numbers necessarily, but they just chromed right over the top of them. So they can make you scramble a little bit if they want to, but it hadn't really been an issue.
I should tag on to here and say that at least for Mark and I, we have no headaches because for those listening, Ryan has probably the largest Rolodex in NASCAR contacts. Ryan pretty much can connect with whoever needed to be connected to at any track within the organization. Ryan, you went to how many races this year? 31? 30?
Yeah, I wasn't counting, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan.
You should count the ones that was not there.
Yeah, which is what I do. It's only 2 or 3. But.
Justin, we might see Ryan on a Wednesday at Rockers, and Ryan be like, "Hey, I might go to California this weekend. You want to go?" I said, "No, I can't make that happen." Ryan's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about it." Then you're watching TV on Saturday. There's Ryan at the track. He's like, "Son of a gun,
he's there
out there in the snow in Los Angeles."
It is fun. I know we all like to go whenever we can, so I certainly appreciate that.
I would say one of the things that stood out for me, and my wife was able to go. Unfortunately, Mark Nelson was not able to attend, but the inaugural street race in Chicago was certainly special. And we were staying in the same hotel as the rest of the crew, and just really, it seemed like the whole weekend was a team building thing. The logistics there were a little,
iffy,
spread out.
Yeah.
But we were all pushing the car. The weather was, less than stellar, but it's still anything like that just brings everyone together. And I'm certainly glad that I was able to go.
Yeah, I would say that probably asking the question as far as what races were great and not so great, I would say that as far as last year, the Chicago street race, just for the event that it was and the weather aside, even beyond all that, I would say that was probably, for me, really probably the marquee event for that NASCAR season, for the first time ever street race, and Xfinity being the first series to run that street race. So that was, so I would say to anybody that wants to go to a race, if you can make that Chicago and got a pretty good chance that having the worst weather ever this past year, that we'll have good weather this year. You stay downtown, walk to the course. There's, of course, it's downtown Chicago, so you can see and do whatever you want. And took the whole family and had a great weekend. So we're thinking we got a good shot at having good weather. So I would say, as far as good race experience last year, outside of the traditional favorites, that was definitely top of the list.
I agree.
Awesome. So as the guy that works in the liquor business, right? I've got to ask, best party track that you've been to?
Well, we'll just take Talladega off the list because everybody's going to say
Yeah,
Talladega.
yeah. Outside of
off the
Talladega,
list.
the best just rocking time you've ever had in the, whether it's the driver lot with the boys from One Stop, is that the guy, or All Stop, right? He's got the party bus.
Yeah, Scott is always entertaining.
Yeah, he's a character, no doubt.
They have their RVs up on turn 1.
Yeah.
And it overlooks the track, and they were always so welcoming. Anything in their RVs, even if I bring friends, they're like, here, whatever, help yourself, whatever. And truly, they make everyone feel very, very welcome. And that's a great fun track. I think Darlington is nice with all of just the history and a small class. It's just more quaint, and everybody kind of tailgates together in the infield and in a row together and shares a lot of meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And again, it just comes back to everybody's so tight knit. And again, that's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah, which I'd say that you can't call a racetrack quaint.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I get the point, but
Compared to Talladega.
Yeah, compared to Talladega, that's fair enough. You got to give you a hard time.
I would say Daytona is nice because typically there's some destinations downtown that will rent like a whole area of, and all the sponsors kind of join there, and then post race the crew and everybody comes down, and it's very, very, very lively. And that's obviously the kickoff race of the season, and then in the spring is when we won. So it was wide open. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask that question next, right? Because that's the one that's fresh in our memory. We were all jumping up and down on our couches, at least up in Wisconsin, at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning.
I'm trying to call Rob from Whitetail Smokeless, going, dude, are you guys sticking around for an extra day? Beth and I are on the plane by 6 a.m. tomorrow, but nobody would text me back. So it's one of those deals. But I can't remember, guys. Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was there, and Mark was there, and I know a lot of the other sponsors were there, and Rob was there. Chuck was not there. Ray was there. Scott Ward was there. So we actually had a lot there. And the funny story about that is that probably outside of Scott Ward with One Stop, probably definitely being the senior sponsor, Chuck, it would be second senior. He has a home in Daytona. That's his track. He's sponsored Jeremy there for years. And this was probably, I don't know, it's probably the first Daytona race that he hadn't gone to probably in forever. So he's in the Bahamas watching the race, and he's not there, and we're all there. And so it was kind of an interesting story. And so I think we were all back in the RV lot or at the hauler, and we had, Chuck on, FaceTime, and he was in the Bahamas, and he was like, if you can win every race, he said, I will never leave the Bahamas. I'll just stay down here in the Bahamas. He's not coming to the race. He said, I'll just stay here. So, yeah, to answer your question, we had a really good group there. Of course, race didn't end until whenever it ended, 1:32 in the morning. And obviously, we were the last hauler out of there. And I think I know they had to unlock the gate to let us out because they had already locked the gate from letting people in. So, yeah, that was, as far as parties, that was definitely the biggest.
Maybe episode 7 or 8, you can have Mark and Ryan on, and they could tell the after party stories that are very entertaining.
Yeah.
Probably too long for this episode.
Yeah,
they are.
One of the things that stands out is because of the rain delay initially, libations started for a 7:30 start, and it was actually closer to 10:30 when the race began. So there was some extra activity. So by the end of the race, and when we won, I guess I'll parlay it into a racing. We were rolling. It was awesome. It was really fun.
You guys were probably buying beers off other teams.
Oh my gosh. And no one, I mean, it was terrific. It was one of my most favorite memories for sure, and all of my racing attendings.
Yeah, that was a special night, no doubt.
I'll say this, I mean, tracks are definitely unique. We've got an opportunity that usually when we're primary sponsors, we have a team dinner, on Friday night. And, depending on where we are, it can be a variety of different things. The Sonoma race this year, we were at a VRBO. Jeremy and Lawson were out with us staying, but, we were in Calistoga, quaint area. We had a 9-acre property with vineyards in the front and the back, brought a chef out there, and just the fellowship that takes place. I mean, had a Thursday out there, multiple vineyards, and, took our banker out there, and they spent a lot of money on wine. And the banker's husband said, "Wait a second, I don't even like wine. Why am I spending $1,500 at this place, right?"
I would agree. Looking
honey,
back, that's a good one.
They're going, honey, don't worry. I only told them to send 5 cases to the house.
Yeah.
When we get home, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's and depending on where you are, and with some of the relationships that Jeremy's built up over the years with certain establishments, they welcome him back. We've definitely made an impression on Wolfboro, New Hampshire, which is, about an hour away from the track, by car, 35-mile drive, but right on Lake Winnipesaukee. And we had the whole crew staying with us at the hotel in historic Wolfboro. Have a team dinner that, as a matter of fact, the guy that has taken care of us the past 2 years text, every couple months just to check in, texted immediately after the Daytona victory, was watching when Jeremy won, was still up. Guy's a teacher and a coach, and then just summers up there with his wife in Wolfboro and works at the restaurant. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've met some incredible people along the way.
That's awesome. I think that was the last of the questions we had for you guys. So we really appreciate you guys coming on, being our first guests. Anybody else have anything else for these gentlemen, or are we good to go?
I'm going to see him tomorrow night, hopefully. So I'm good.
We'll continue then. Yeah. Hopefully we set the bar high for you guys as you go on to future episodes.
Yeah, we will definitely.
I think it's going to be hard to beat you guys. We really appreciate it.
And like I said, yeah. Never mind.
I want to say this though, gentlemen, the race you're talking about at Daytona. My daughter was 6 months old in 4 days to the day, and we were actually at that race when Jeremy won it. So
fantastic. That's dedication there. You deserve a seat at this table.
I hope she had earmuffs on.
She did.
We will definitely be having you guys back on.
Yes, you guys will definitely be back on. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks very much. Bobby, we need to do anything special right now, or we're good?
No, you guys are good.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
The rest of the show.
And thank you guys.
Take care.
Thank you guys for sponsoring us also.
Sure thing. See you guys.
Thanks.
See ya.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Like, how's this work? What are we supposed to do?
Glasses back on.
Figure out. Do we hit end? How does this
No.
work?
Yeah. All right, Rob, you're up.
All right.
Just a second, Bobby. There we go.
There. All right.
All right.
Observation, Rob. Here you go, brother.
Observation Rob is on deck here. Now we're going to start our second segment. We're going to call it the happy hour. To start out, we're going to just introduce each of ourselves, and then we'll go from there. But to start out before that, the main reason why we decided to do this podcast is there is nobody that's covering the Xfinity series, the truck series, the lower racing series, like Cup is covered. So Bobby and I started talking during the season this last year about maybe doing a podcast to help get information out about the Xfinity series, truck series, and then also about her favorite driver, Jeremy Clements, and his team. And through that conversation, Scott is a friend of Bobby, done podcasts with Bobby before. That was brought up. We talked with him, and then now we added Justin, who is actually a sponsor through Driftless Glen for Jeremy Clements. So basically, that is how our podcast came together. What we're going to do is, like I said, the Xfinity Series, Truck Series, and lower series of racing, dirt, asphalt, World Outlaws, whatever it may be. But that's our primary focus, to bring attention to those series. Any of you guys have anything else to interject on that, or are we good to start the introductions of ourselves?
Go ahead and start your introduction.
Okay. I'll start off. I'm Robert Sharp. A little background about myself. I was a law enforcement officer here in Wisconsin for 21 years. I got hurt in the line of duty. I was a detective the last 16 years and had to medically retire. During my childhood, I grew up close to Lake Geneva Raceway here in southeastern Wisconsin. Back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of weekends, my family, we would go to the racetrack as a family. And at that time, 70s and 80s, being from Wisconsin, I got to watch a lot of really, really good racers that eventually made to NASCAR, into the Hall of Fame, like Mark Martin, Alan Quickie, Rich Bickle, Rusty Wallace. And as a result of that, I became a huge race fan, started watching NASCAR. And then fast forward to my adult years, I ended up becoming a NASCAR licensed crew member for a local racing team that raced in the Midwest, mostly at Rockford Speedway, Rockford, Illinois, which sadly just closed after 76th year, the oldest NASCAR sanctioned track. We were raced weekly at Slinger Speedway and Madison International Speedway. So through that, I got to meet a lot of different drivers. We raced against a lot of guys and gals that are in NASCAR now at different levels. More importantly, like Ty Majeski, our team raced against him the very first race that he raced in a late model, which was pretty cool. But that's basically my background. I'm a huge Jeremy Clements fan. Watched the race in 2017 at Road America. My son was at it. My health wasn't good. I didn't go that year, and battling between Matt Tiff and him, and that finish of that race made me a Jeremy Clements fan, and now here I am today. So that's basically my background. Justin, you want to give yours?
Yeah, sure. I apologize, guys, if I'm not coming through. Am I coming through okay?
Yes, you are.
Sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So as I told you guys earlier, I'm above a bar right now in Racine, Wisconsin. I've got a barrel pick with them later this evening, and she was nice enough to let me come up to this upstairs apartment. And I have my phone duct taped to a vacuum, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. But anyway, Justin Sharpie, born and raised in Wisconsin, been a NASCAR fan damn near all my life. Grew up, it was my special time with my old man. On Sundays, is when I could drink as many Pepsis as I wanted to, and we eat cheese and crackers and order pizza and watch the race together. So 40 years old, so been watching it for quite some time. Not as big of a Xfinity Series fan up until the last 3 years when our company decided to partner with Jeremy Clements Racing, and Rob from Whitetail Smokeless was nice enough to bring us into that close-knit friend group there of loyal sponsors at Road America. And I remember 2 years ago at Road America, probably my favorite quick story is just standing outside of Jeremy's hauler, and they're lining the cars up after qualifying, and I want to say he qualified in the top 10, I believe. And I looked at Jeremy, I'm like, dude, how cool is this? Top 10 qualifying, and you're from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and you have a car with entirely family-owned Wisconsin businesses. No other car in that field had that type of loyal Wisconsin fan base. So we're big fans of Jeremy Clements. I'm on my way to Chicago airport tomorrow, and I'll be in Spartanburg at RJ Rockers tomorrow afternoon, evenings. Be a part of it. I don't think this was initially the plan, but apparently I passed my entry interview. Last week was it? I can't remember. We drank too many beers. So, but
it was last week, and there was 10.
It was. There was at least 10. I don't know.
Yeah.
Beth wasn't too impressed when she walked into her home office and there was 10 empty Busch Lights sitting on the desk. I had to clean those up fast. She could go to work. But we had a good time, and obviously I'll get into the Driftless Glen stuff on a different day. That's not entirely why I'm here. So great to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Justin. Scott, you want to go ahead?
I thought I was going to get saved for last. So I'm Scott. I know Bobby for a long time. And when I were kicking around the idea of doing a podcast together, doing, all kinds of racing. He mentioned maybe about 2 months ago, introduced me to Rob, and we came up with this idea to cover, Xfinity trucks, dirt, pavement racing. Here we are. I've been a NASCAR fan pretty much all my life, 42. I've raced dirt, raced some pavement stuff. Going back into it, think I'm kind of stupid because the stuff's expensive. It's a passion, and if you're a race fan, you either love the sport Saturday because your driver won, Friday your driver won, or Saturday night you're ticked off at the world because somebody dumped your driver and it's wrecked, or you're taking a wrecked race car home Saturday night anyhow. This is gonna be fun. I really enjoy it. Got to meet some pretty cool people so far. Got to do a lot of cool stuff with racing that I wouldn't have probably done. But this is, the group of guys we have together, Justin, Rob, Bobby, we're just passionate race fans who love what we do.
All right, Bobby, the host, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep. I'm Bobby. I'm from Ossian, Ohio. I've been a race fan since the age of 6. My dad and my uncle got me into racing. I want to throw this out here. So my first race was at Michigan, and we actually went for qualifying, and I met Harry Gant. I was about 6, I believe, and Dale Earnhardt told Jeff Gordon not to go out on the track in the interview. I think he said he was stupid or something. He needed to come down pit road, and he went into turn 1, and it was raining and ate the wall. Absolutely destroyed the car. I do remember this. It was one of the best things. Like, it kind of got me into racing, and I've been to Michigan, I'd probably say 15, 20 times by now. I'm a huge Jeremy Clements fan since 2009, and I also run on iRacing with my dad and our league, Lap Traffic iRacing League. And Spartan Waste is one of the sponsors on iRacing.
I love it. I just played NASCAR Heat 4 on Xbox One, so you've got me beat.
Well, let's do it. I got Xbox too, so we'll go at each other.
Nah, I haven't played since the pandemic. Like, we had a whole team. It was awesome.
I think the last video system I had was in television, and you guys probably weren't even alive when that was out.
No,
Justin,
I still remember
maybe you were. What's that?
No, it's in television.
It was one of the competitors to Atari. So back in the day.
Huh.
So, but either way, transitioning on to what's that?
No, I was gonna say, how were the racing games on that console there, Rob?
They were just like moving little pixelated boxes. It was very archaic, like old, and yeah, it was for that.
But it was cool.
time. It was like the thing.
It was cool in 1942. I hear you. It's amazing.
Yeah, basically,
absolutely.
Yeah. Not quite that old, but yeah. All right,
Rob.
So,
all right, Rob. Keep us on track. Here we go.
All right. So, happy hour. Now that we discussed our interview or introduced ourselves, sorry. Our first topic we're going to discuss is Ryan Vargas. He's a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver. He races part-time in that series. He raced in the Craftsman Truck Series a few times this year for Onport Motorsports, 7 races. In the Xfinity Series, it was Mike Harmon racing. He tried to qualify in for 3 races, but did not qualify and actually get the race in the Xfinity Series. He also is the race director for 3F Racing, which is a European racing team that races in the Euro NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, racing series. So he's flown overseas a couple times this past year, Germany, and I think it might have been Amsterdam or Belgium, some another foreign country where he raced like an asphalt late model type car. He just got at the recent award ceremony for NASCAR this past week. He got an award for the Comcast Community Champion for bringing an awareness to a disease he was born with called craniosynosis, which is basically where the plates of the skull fuse together and don't expand, and allowing your brain to grow and your skull to grow with your body and your brain. So, which causes deformities to the face and your head. So he became a figure person for that charity, or that cause, I should say, and hooked up with a charity called the Faces Organization that helps families and children affected by that disease in various ways. Ryan is a young man that's grinding, doing a lot of things in the sport. He's trying to establish himself, but he's also using that platform to for good. So, you guys think of any other drivers out there that are using their platform for raising awareness for different things?
I'll let someone else take this one if they'd like. I mean, I know a lot of guys run into, whether it's military
You're cutting out, Justin.
His connection's pretty bad.
Scott, you got this?
Yeah, I think what Justin's trying to say is
breast cancer.
Oh, there he is.
I believe Jeremy actually ran.
He's talking about when Jeremy ran the breast cancer awareness car,
right?
With some of the stuff on there. Not just Jeremy, not just Ryan, but you have Stuart Friesen, who runs the autism car, to raise awareness for autism. You got, off the top of my head, you got, Martin Truex Jr., who, still very, very strong about, his ex-girlfriend, Sherry Pollock's foundation, which still very strong into. I really applaud him for that. You got, Garrett Smithley with, Race Against Abuse of Children Everywhere. That's a Maryland-based foundation for, kids that have been sexually abused. The drivers really, they got driver so far, I think, is, they care about who they are and care about the people that are fans.
I agree. I mean, NASCAR in a whole, with that pink window net thing for breast cancer, they've done, like, there's a gentleman called NASCAR Sammy that raises awareness for autism, that a lot of drivers and teams donate items to him, to including NASCAR, NHRA, where he then does giveaways, bringing awareness to autism. And a lot of those teams will put stickers on their cars. In fact, I think it was last year or the year before, he actually was the marshal for the race, where he said, "Gentlemen, start your engines." So NASCAR does a lot of really good things, and a lot of the race drivers, like we were talking about, do a lot of good things with their charities and using their platform to do good.
Yeah, they sure, Rob. We've talked about this on the side. It's not. There's more Xfinity drivers that do more for the fans. Truck guys too. The truckers, they do a lot. But they don't get the hype of the media like the Cup guys do on Sunday, because they're not the big, they're not the Joey Logano's with Pennzoil, or Ryan Blaney with Menards and Penske. They're not those guys. But in reality, I think, and this is just me talking, I really feel like the Xfinity guys, the teams, the drivers, they do more for the fans than I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm new with Jeremy Clemens. I know who he is, but Daytona in August, I was there. That guy stood for 45 minutes after qualifying and signed autographs. Him and a couple other drivers. There's only 4 of them. None of them were the Justin Allgaiers or the Josh Berrys. These are the guys that are just regular Joe Schmo like us guys, that even though they're NASCAR drivers, but they stood there and signed autographs. As some of these big team drivers are walking away because they have to run to a sponsorship gig.
Justin, you back?
What's that?
I asked if Justin was back.
I don't know. Can you not see me?
No,
We can see you. You can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Connection, your connection just went really bad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but you got me now?
Yep, yes. You're good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm working on the Wi-Fi password as we speak, but it's a little tricky. But yeah, I'd agree. For what it's worth, though, I'll tell you what. I've actually had the opportunity to at least shake a few hands, and Justin Allgaier is always the first one that comes to mind. That dude is so nice and so genuine. I don't know if he really I can't tell if he thinks he knows me from somewhere at times, because I purposely will say hi to him when he's walking through the garage area, and he's always like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And I'm like, does he even know who I am? This is hilarious. I've seen him at a few tracks, but he's a genuinely awesome dude who seems really cool. I don't know if I could say the same for Kevin Harvick, to be honest, but anyway.
That's for another story.
That's a different story. And honestly, I actually met Ryan Vargas at Chicago this past summer, and he was standing down at one.
Oh, we just lost Justin again.
Yeah, we lost him again. All right, go ahead and start your next question, Rob.
Okay, the next question was going to be Brennan Poole, Xfinity driver, signs to Team Alpha Prime for the full 2024 Xfinity season, with his sponsor being Finance Pro Plus and the number 44 Chevy. Scott, you want to go into that?
Wow, that's a shocker. It was a shocker.
He's been part-time.
He replaces Jeffrey Earnhardt, doesn't he?
I believe he does.
Yes, he replaces Jeffrey Earnhardt, and he's been part-time here and there, filling in trucks, Xfinity, for the last 2-3 years at least. And that's a big signing. That's pretty big for him. There was another recent I don't know if it's official or a rumor, but Eric Almirola's retirement from NASCAR didn't apparently last long. It's rumored that he's going to go sign with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he'll be racing some Xfinity Series races this year for JGR.
You know, I couldn't believe when that whole video of Joe Gibbs with the owner of the Commanders introducing, you know, Christopher Bell, and then introduces Eric Almirola as, oh, hey, this is Eric Almirola. He drives for us now. And it's a video, and it's on, you know, the new Twitter X, if you want to call it that. You know, I was like, wow, like you just blew the whole announcement, all the sponsor announcements for him. So when I seen that, I was blown away that, you know, Ford let him go to Toyota with how long he was with Ford, with, you know, with all them over there at Stewart Haas.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
I was blown away by that too. We were talking about that earlier today. That video pops up, and he's, you know, I believe they were on the field at the football game where they were talking. So, but to move on to the last topic, to save the best for last, the Snowball Derby just happened this past weekend at Five Flags Speedway in Florida. It was won by Wisconsin's Ty Majeski. It's a second Snowball Derby win. The racing, though, it was a stacked field. There were, I think, 6 or 7 NASCAR drivers, if I remember.
That made the show.
Made the show.
A lot went home.
Right.
Carson Harsevar went home.
Yep.
That was a shock.
Not really.
It was a stacked field. But with that, there were a lot of wrecks. I believe there's 2, maybe 3 red flags where they act because of bad wrecks. There was 2 red flags within the last, I think it was 15 laps of the race, because of the one with about 20 laps left was on a restart, and Noah Gregson missed a shift reportedly from an article I had read earlier, and caused a chain reaction, and like 12 or so cars were mixed up in it, and that's what basically allowed, you know, for the restart with Majeski, Bubba Pollard, and Stephen Nasse. And then ultimately, what I'm getting to is, if you haven't seen it, with about 8 laps to go, I believe it was, Bubba Pollard is inside Stephen Nasse coming out of 1, and Nasse, for lack of better words, chopped him into the inside wall and took him out, and they both ended up going up the track back into the, you know, up towards the outside wall. So Bubba Pollard's car was done. Nasse ended up being able to finish the race. He finished in the top 10. But it comes back to this lack of respect and clean racing. In my opinion, there was no reason why Nasse had to do that. And Nasse and Pollard have a history. Earlier this year, there was a race where Nasse was flipping, you know, Bubba Pollard, the bird, while on the racetrack. You know, it's not just in like NASCAR where you got trucks. We had Carson Hocevar in the championship race, you know, wrecking and taking, you know, ruining the chances for himself and another driver to win, you know, potentially win the championship, like Granding Finger, for example. It just, you know, the lack of respect and clean racing nowadays is, in my opinion, you know, if those two, Nasse and Pollard, race clean, both of them could easily have won that race. And I bet you Ty Majeski would tell you the same thing if you asked him, because Ty, on the restart, Ty was on the outside and he was just holding on the restart. And, it came down to after the 8 laps, it was Ruggiero and Majeski battling for the lead, and ultimately Ty overtook him and actually won the race. Ruggiero, he actually was 2 laps down at one time. They had to push his car on the parade lap because it wouldn't start. So I don't know. What's your opinion on the state of racing and the stuff that's going on?
So I'm pretty good friends with Nassie, and I'm pretty good friends with Pullard. Those guys have a history that's not just this year. It's been probably 2 or 3 years where these guys have had some history of, aggressiveness. They both just want to win. They're very feisty, I'll call it, keeping it PG for everything. But it's the problem is these kids come up with daddy's money, driving cars that are over their head, and they're wrecking half the field. There's the respect and how you get taught as you come up to the ranks. This isn't there anymore. and that's the sad part. These cars aren't, you're not going out to a junkyard and pulling an old Camaro out of the junkyard and putting a cage in it and going racing. These are $40,000-$50,000, cars. A roller for a late model, 15 grand. The bodies are not cheap. They'll put a new body on one of these late models that are pavement, $5,000-$6,000. It's not the younger kids, and it's more not just the younger kids too, it's the older guys too. They see $35,000 to win a 300 lap race, and they think you can win it on lap 1.
Exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. They're lap one, they think they need to, use up their competitor and wreck them to gain a spot on lap 1. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know. Scott, you obviously have more experience with that, as you actually are a race car driver, where you have, I'm sure have dealt with that in your career, with people racing over their heads and not thinking.
Rob, I'll say this, Bobby, you can even say it too, because Bobby, you and I have iRacing.
Yep.
I get on iRacing and I just want to have fun. I don't take iRacing serious.
Some people take it to the next level.
Beyond the next level.
I mean, like extreme.
They're extreme. And these are some of the same kids that go out on a Saturday night and get in their race car and think they can do the same thing.
Yep.
As they can on iRacing. No, iRacing is a simulator. It's a great tool if used properly. You can learn a lot of different skill sets. But the thing is, you can't. In reality, iRacing is a video game. That's a simulator. You go out and you put somebody in a wall and your car barrel rolls. You can't just hit escape and go back into their garage.
Right. And these kids nowadays don't understand that. They just want to do what they can do on iRacing, and you've seen some terrible accidents because of it.
Yeah. But you know what?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bobby, I watched Bobby several times when he's racing. I help spot for him a little bit when he's doing his iRacing, and it's crazy. I mean, I got 3 quick fixes or whatever, so I'll just take out this guy, or yeah. So
It's definitely frustrating sometimes. And I mean, yes, iRacing's not, I wouldn't say it's real. I mean, it's close, but I think the biggest thing is like Rob can vouch when I barrel rolled down the front stretch and literally my car was done. Like there was no fast repairs. I ripped the tires off of it. The hood was up over the windshield. It was over. And that's what I like about iRacing with no fast repairs. You get into a wreck, you're done.
What the best thing is, Bobby, on iRacing, we don't have to go out to the shop and fix this.
Exactly.
But you know, guys, tonight I will say this: tonight was awesome. Those guys, the guys from Spartan Waste and Spartanburg FM Radio, um,
Amazing.
great guys. That was the first time I got to interact with them, and I can't wait to have Ryan back on.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to happen.
Um,
I'm going to have everybody back on. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. The stories they told us, honestly, and next time we have them on, I think our show needs to be an hour with them, just them alone. Because I'm telling you right now, the stories they have and the stuff that they know is way beyond what we know. And I think that we're going to learn a lot from Mark and Ryan.
I agree.
I just want to hear some of Ryan's stories. I know we're going to talk about the Xfinity, but the thing I really want to know is hear some of his older stories from back in the 80s and the 90s when, our heroes, our childhood heroes, Harry Gant,
Yep.
Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Davey Allison,
Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt Sr., Gordon. I'm a huge Gordon fan. I want to hear some of those stories.
Right.
And then hear some of the 80s stories. And if he was in the 70s, hear some of those. And what he's seen has changed and how our sport has grown. I think that would be an awesome. That's my questions for him.
Yeah,
I agree. And on that note, I say we wrap this up, boys.
Yeah.
All right.
I say I want to thank Bobby for inviting me. Rob, great for you to have you in the observation tower, keeping us on track because we can get sidetracked. We're racing.
I do my best.
Bobby, again, man, thank you for inviting me.
No problem. I'm glad to have you guys a part of the podcast. Episode 1 is in the books. I got a few things to say at the end here, but yeah, I mean, absolutely great podcast. First episode with you guys, and hopefully many more to come.
Hope so. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'm having fun too.
So next week, just want to give everybody a heads up. We have Luke Clements, Jeremy's nephew. He races dirt in the 51 Spartan Waste Bombers division at Cherokee Speedway in South Carolina and North Carolina, at other tracks also. I want to give a shout out to Beach Ridge Barbershop out of Scarborough, Maine. Spartan Waste, Runner's Roost, First Pacific Funding, Driftless Glen, Justin, and Rob from Whitetail Smokeless. Can't thank you guys enough for sponsoring us in the podcast. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys next week, and we are signing out.